Hello everyone, it's me, your former arms dealer. My apologies for my absence. The NSA and DHS got on my case for offering to sell weapons to what they called foreign adversaries, which is weird because most of my foreign views come from Germany and the UK. Regardless, I don't want to get arrested, so I had to stop. So that's why I've been gone for so long. But I hope to make it up to you by showing off this pretty recent kit from Brickmania. I'm going to keep this short. This is the Panzer 38T Ausf E/F. It is a World War II German light tank, although calling it German is a slight misnomer. It was originally a Czech design. That's what T stands for. Czechish, I think that's how you pronounce it. This kit originally retailed for $210. It has 359 pieces. It is rated at a skill level of 3 out of 5, and it was designed by Andreas Aiken. I don't speak Norwegian, so I don't know if I'm still pronouncing that incorrectly or not. And it was originally released Memorial Day 2025, which was just last month. Oh, and of course, I forgot to mention it comes with a single minifigure, a Panzer commander wearing a pretty unique, not bayonet, why was I about to say that? Beret piece. Interesting aside about this beret piece, the last time it was released by Brickmania was on a heavy tank kit, like 2 or 3 years ago. I'll put a picture of it on screen, but it's pretty neat. It's an early war Panzer beret. They stopped wearing them about halfway through the war because it was difficult to wear it and a radio headset at the same time because of the padding. As for functions of the build, it's pretty sparse, and it's a pretty small kit. That doesn't detract from it, I just don't have too much to say about its functionality-wise. You can move the gun mantle, you can move the turret, although this antenna does hamper movement a bit. And of course, you can take the figure out and open and close the hatch. And this desk is pretty smooth, so I can't really show it off here, but this tank does in fact roll pretty decently if you find any surface with good enough traction on it. I suppose the last thing I'd have to comment on regarding this build is my experience building it, and I don't really have too much to say. I do have one thing to note about starting this project, and it was I made a poor choice of time of starting it. So the beginning steps of this build have a lot of dark bluish gray on black because the bottom of the model is shockingly dark bluish gray and black. And my room has an orangish light, and I'm very nearsighted. Combine that with me deciding to start the build project at like 5 o'clock in the evening, and my nearsightedness made it sort of a nightmare for me to build this. So if you have a bit of trouble distinguishing darker shades of color from each other, I would not recommend building this at the same time that I did. But as I mentioned earlier, that's really the only noticeable, really noteworthy thing to talk about with regard to my build experience. So I suppose I'll finish this off with my general opinions on the build. I shockingly like it. Who would have thought the person who says that he only builds things that he's interested in likes the things that he builds? But I do think that this is a step up in terms of quality for some of the smaller builds. I have back here the Panzer II, which released for a similar price and is of a similar size. I think it's actually the same size, although I think it's a stud longer. And as you can see, it probably is partially just that there's fewer details to print, but these two are just a couple of years apart and generally the same size, and one of them is obviously more detailed than the other, and I do think that is a massive step up. I also really like the technique used to get these angled mud guards. I did mess it up, which resulted in me having to re-record several things, including the turntable footage I've been showing for a good chunk of the video at this point. It's connected by a 1x3 structure in the back here that I forgot to fully push down, and you will miss it if you don't push it down when you're supposed to actually make the connection, because it's supposed to lift up a part up here, and I just had it completely wrong until, ironically enough, one of the other Brickmania designers pointed it out to me. So just as a heads up to that. And with that, we're approaching 5 minutes, so I'll wrap it up here. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate that there is a sizable portion of people who check in on me every now and then to see what neat little plastic models I built today. It really means a lot to me that people care enough to check in on this random college student's little modeling hobby. I don't know if I can really properly express how strongly I feel about it. It really does mean a lot to me. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate your patience with me. I'm not quite sure when my next video will be. I've got a few build projects in the works, but I don't really know when I'll be done with those. But hey, it's summer. I can move at light speed if I want to, so we'll see what happens of it. Again, thanks for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.